Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a Celica video. A lot of Celica owners have probably had the same problems I have, and that's water getting into the boot. I'm going to see if I can actually trace where the actual water is coming from and hopefully fix it. So the first thing I've done is actually remove the actual boot floor and the plastics. And as you can see, this area is pretty bad. So the water's been sitting in here for a while, I think. I had a water leak before, and this was quite bad, and I treated it all, but I think it still feels damp. Let's see. It has been leaking again for a while. We have had quite a bad sort of autumn with a lot of rain and storms and things, so I don't think that's helped. So what I'm going to do next is remove the side plastics and see if it's actually coming from behind the lights. I also want to check the pockets as well, see if there's any damp and moisture in there, but it seems to be just in this area, so I think it might be coming from behind the light, maybe running down, or this seal. So what I think I'll do is I'll empty the complete boot out, give it a really good clean. It's black here as well, is that? No, that's not damp, that's just dirt. So it's all dry here, just into this area, unless it's coming up from the bottom. But then it did fill up quite a lot, and this is really wet here, see? So it might be coming just from the actual rubber seals around the actual aperture. But I know last time it was coming through the light, so I think I'm going to, like I said before, I'll remove all the plastic. Then I'm going to clean it all. I'm going to put some kitchen roll down and leave it overnight, see if I can trace, because I think we're getting rain tonight, see if I can trace where the actual water is coming in from. So all the plastics are out, and I'm just giving it a clean over with some glass cleaner and some APC just to clean up the paintwork, etc. Doesn't seem too bad. There's a little bit of a bubble there. The seam seems to have popped, so that's probably coming from underneath as well, or it might be just from moisture getting under the seam sealer. I've got quite a bad area here on that seam, so that's going to have some attention. I'll have to grind it all back, treat it and re-seam seal it. It seems solid from behind, it just seems to be where moisture's getting in here. All the other seems to be fine. A little bit of a rust edge on that seam there. Hate it how they don't put any lacquer on things, Toyota. It's just base coat, no actual clear coat or anything. In this pocket here, this is usually one of the worst areas. It's nice and dry. Yeah, no moisture, doesn't seem like there's any rust. But it's not too bad for a car that's, what, 20 years old? It's not bad at all. This is the worst bit here, so I'm going to really just clean it all up, like I said, just with a general glass cleaner and an APC, just to remove any loose dust. Try and clean it all out as best I can. Then I'm going to lay some paper towel over it. And if it doesn't rain tonight, I can always go over with the jet wash and see where the actual water is coming in. But I was worried about the back of the seats, see if anything was coming in there, but that's all dry. The seams are all fine behind the back of the actual suspension strut tower. It's not too bad at all. There's a little bit of surface mould on this seat, on the top of the actual leather, but that's just probably from just general damp with it being wet in the boot, I think. But the seat itself is dry, which is a good thing. This doesn't seem to be doing much at all. You may have seen in a previous video where I made these anti-humidity socks, but I think there's probably far too much humidity in here for this to actually do anything, with it being so wet in the boot. Basically the boot was pretty much full of water. This seal, I bought a brand new seal when I got the car, but that was probably 7 years ago now. The seal's all in pretty good condition. The seal up there is usually where it leaks as well. That seems to be fine. I may just take that out and reseal it. Does need a good clean. It's all getting dirty up here again. been neglected while I've been doing the workshop. Some rust coming through there. That's where the actual shock rubs on the paint and takes the paint away, which is annoying. These need replacing as well. These are all shot, that's why the boot rattles. So I'm going to have to get some new ones of these. I think you can get these online quite cheap. But for a car of this age, it's not too bad. What's it like under that seal? That's quite bad there, isn't it? So I think summertime I may have to do a sort of semi-blow-in paint job on the boot aperture, I think. I'd like to take the boot off, the boot lid off, or the hatch off, if you want to be technical. But I think that'd be a bit of a pain with it being so heavy and I'm on my own. Because I think that'd be the best way to take it off, and then I could actually prep all the aperture itself, etch prime it, epoxy it, high build it, flat it, and then put some base and clear on it, and then the clear coat should help with the actual paint as well. Protect it a little bit better than just base coat. That corner then, a little bit of green algae on there. I don't think the water's getting through that seal there though. I'll check all the other seals and all the other inlets as well, I think, just to make sure. But I think the main reason it was coming through was this. It used to be this tail light, but I took it all off and resealed it. But I can't see where there's a water trail, and if it was coming through there, surely it'd go into this pocket first, wouldn't it? So it must be coming from this seal here, something like that. Investigation needed. Anyway, I'll continue cleaning up, and then I'll lay the paper towel down and I'll check back with you. So I cleaned it up a little bit. I've just given it a quick coat of some ceramic sealant as well, just as a give it a bit of shine and make it look a bit tarty. I've also put a little bit of rust converter on the little rust bits there. This is all going to have to be ground back, converted, probably put some Por 15 on it, something like that, then epoxy primed and then resealed. So I will be doing that again when the weather gets a little bit warmer. Same as here as well, just put a little bit converter on it. That's just as basically a temporary fix, hopefully to try and stop it from getting any worse. But it's all going to have to be wire brushed, clean all the seams up, and then repainted, epoxy primed, etc. Same as on that little bit there. So what I'm going to do now, I've got this kitchen roll. I'm going to lay some kitchen roll just all the way around the edges, probably across the back there as well, to see if I can find out where it's coming in from. I don't think it's coming from the back here, because then I think the back of the actual floor and the seat will be wet, and that's bone dry all back there, thankfully. That looks pretty good. Needs a bit of a clean, so I may even just give that a vac as well. Probably next week or something like that, when I wash the car, because it needs a good detail as well, so I'll do that at the same time. Yes, I think it's probably coming from either the seal here and running down, or could even be inside the spoiler, because I know the gaps on the spoiler here are very, very rough, so I'm going to take that off, probably get some proper sealer, because I don't know what this is here actually. I've never actually taken this off, so I don't think that looks very good, does it? Like some sort of seal around there, so maybe a case of whipping that off and having a look. Maybe have a look at the washer wiper as well. Maybe that might be leaking, might be coming through the back and then running down into the back. But like I said, I'll put some tissue down. I'm going to leave it for today, see if it rains overnight. If it doesn't, I've got to wash the car anyway, probably next couple of days or so. I can give it a hose down and hopefully I can trace it through the jet wash or the hose pipe. Right, so I'm going to go with that, I think, for now, because I think it should hopefully cover all the bases where it's coming from. Because it's definitely not coming from the middle, because that would be from the glass. And I don't, oh, that's my head. And I don't think it was from the back across here, because then it would be leaking into the actual back. So it's definitely in this bit here. So it's either coming up from the bottom, from the rubber seals, or it's coming from the sides. The seal there looks a bit worn, so it may be coming from the side there. It's not quite on there, so it might be that. Could be, couldn't it? So it's not exactly tight there. But like I said, I'm going to wait and see if it rains tonight. If it doesn't, then I'll give the car a good wash and I'll detail it, and we'll check it from there. Well, it definitely rained. Rear window's all steamed up, so let's have a look inside, see if we can actually trace the leak. So it's coming from here and then running down to there, so it could be, looks like it's there, doesn't it? Is it wet there? It's definitely wet there. And you see it dripping? So where's that coming from then? Is it that seal? Doesn't look like a very good seal, does it? So I think it might be a case of taking all this seal off. Is it coming from there? Is that a place it could be coming from? Things it could be coming from up here, couldn't it? It's all dry there. Back of the light? No, it's definitely not the back of the light. So it's either got to be this seal here, or look at the back of that. Back of the spoiler, or it would be if it was coming from the inside the boot. Is that wet? Not really. So that's not wet there. So I don't think it's coming from the actual spoiler. So it's got to be just that seal there, hasn't it? So it's got some sort of gum or non-dry mastic stuff on there. She's obviously not doing a bloody thing. So I think it might be a case of taking all this off, pinching the actual, see there, look for squeeze that. So it's coming in from there then, isn't it? Squeezing it, coming in from there. So it's coming from that seal there. Then going in there and running down into the boot. Okay, so we're going to just dry that up. Looks like that's the culprit. So it might be either redo this seal, but the seal's in pretty good condition, it's just not actually sitting right, so it probably just need nipping up, nipping close together, maybe resealing underneath, unless it's coming from that actual seam. Can't see it coming through an actual, see it's stuck on there now, and that seems a little bit of surface rust on it. His walk can go from anywhere, can just come in from here and run all the way down and then go into there. So it could be any of these seals along here. Okay. Right, so what I think I'm going to do is actually just pop the actual rubber trim off, clean it all up as best I can underneath, probably with a little bit of silicone cleaner or something like that. That looks quite dirty there, doesn't it? So that could be stopping the actual seal from attaching itself. So I'm going to clean all that off. Clean up all behind here as well. A little bit of surface rust coming through here, so this is all have to be addressed in summer. But it's a freezing cold day again today. So I'm going to try and do this as quick as possible and get in the warmth of the workshop. I think the main area where it's leaking is probably, it's running down here, going inside the actual seam, maybe here, and then coming through and dripping down through here. I don't really know. But I'm going to see if I can tidy this seal up as best I can, get it all nice and clean, get all this crap off it, get a real proper seal instead of this horrible, looks like bloody chewing gum, doesn't it? Go. Instead of all this stuff here, and then I'm going to reseal it, and I know it's going to rain and snow tonight, so then I can double check it again probably in the next couple of days and see if I've actually fixed it. If I have, all great, and if I haven't, it's going to be back to the drawing board and we'll just see if we can trace it again. But I'm pretty sure that's where it's coming in, or maybe even in here, water's getting in through here, or maybe even in here, water's getting in here and going through this seam, running down and then dripping out here. So as you saw earlier in the video, it was actually dripping down from the inside of here, so it's got to be coming from this sort of area. So I'm going to give it all a good dry and a clean, and then we'll pinch this up and get it reattached. This is all cleaned up quite nicely now. I've noticed there's a little bit of surface rust just there, so that's going to have to be looked at in spring and summer. I may whack a little bit of rust inhibitor on it just for now, and maybe a coat of grease just to try and keep it back a little bit. It does need a really good clean, this car. It's been neglected the last couple of months. I've taken the grommet out, resealed it, cleaned it all, resealed it all, but that was all dry inside, so I don't think the water's getting in there. Plus, if it was, the headliner would be wet. I'm also cleaning up the rubber seal. It's cleaning up quite nice. I'm just giving it a bit of a clean with a screwdriver and some good old Tesco's tire and bumper shine. And as I'm going along as well, I'm actually pinching the actual seal together. I may even go over with a pair of pliers just to close that gap up, and then I'll hammer it all on, knock it all on with a rubber mallet just to make sure it's all nice and tight. Right, so it's all cleaned and back in place. I pinched the little seam back up with a pair of pliers. I did stretch this down a little bit because this corner seemed to be a little bit too tight, so it wasn't actually connecting with this corner, which might have been the problem. It might be time to actually invest in a new rubber. I know this is not that old, about 7 years old, this rubber, but I've noticed there's a few little chafe marks in it. Either that, or come spring and summer, take it off, soak it in some soapy water and really give it a really good clean, and tighten all the seams up as best I can, and then some rubber dressing on it to actually revive it a little bit. But it doesn't look too bad, it doesn't look dry or crispy. I just think it's probably just not all the dirt. I think it's actually just attached on this corner here. So now it does seem better. You can see where I've pinched it there to make it tighter. It's through here, but it seems a lot better now. I pull this area here tighter to try and nip that in that corner. Don't do as I do and use your hand to hammer things in, because that's how you get arthritis. Ask me how I know. Years and years of using your hand as a hammer. But that seems to be all nice and tight now. So what I'm going to do, I think, is call this video it, and hopefully, if I don't do an update in the next couple of weeks, then this has worked. If I do an update, then you know it hasn't. So hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. Lots more Celica content coming up, because there's going to be a rolling restoration on this. As I said before, I'll have to do all the rust in the seams and things. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.